Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're turning our attention now to economic matters, and we're joined, as you have seen in the welcoming scenario there, Mr. Bolaji Ogunseye, a sustainable development expert, also an economist. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
You know, not long after the CBN met, and then lots of people kept on looking at whether or not something was going to happen to the interest rate, but it appeared as though hopes were dashed, was still as we were. Did you expect any change in the first instance?
Well, it depends on what you consider to be the priority today. What is the overarching pressure with the economy at the moment? Those in the fiscal management part of it, i.e. the Ministry of Finance and much of the government, if you like, think that because we are in a recession, we need quickly to recover from recession, grow the economy out of recession. Okay, the central bank people are looking at the more monetarist issues like supply of money into the economy, cost of money, which is interest rate, you know, inflation, and perhaps for them, more importantly, how you manage the foreign exchange regime. Because we always look at the parts about the government money, but remember, they see themselves as having a duty to create policy conditions that would enable foreign exchange to flow into the economy, you understand, by way of portfolio investments. I mean, these are all, if you like, highly debatable issues on the monetary side. Okay, on the fiscal management side, there's an immediate pressure to get us out of a recession. But the point is, both of them miss, for me, the larger picture to a significant extent. And for me, that's the challenge. You know, they've been arguing. This has been on. And I think the government, by not coming out soon enough, when the Buhari administration came in, by not coming out soon enough with a very strong, clear economic roadmap, a strong one, because strictly speaking, they've just come close to that. They've done that, you know, very recently. I think over the last 2 months with the midterm recovery, you know, strategy and all of that. They had one in December last year. That was rather weak, and it didn't look like, you know, a strategy really. But the more recent one looks like. But that process took too long, and therefore these debates and arguments and tough battles had been there in the background. Do you understand? Okay.
Let me speak to that, because I will come back to the issue about whether or not interest rates should be up or down or stay as it is in a moment, hoping we don't lose our train of thought on that one. Let's pick up on the matter you talked about, something going on in the background. Yesterday there had been some reports in the dailies that the Minister of Finance spoke to a group of some members in the National Assembly that her ministry would like them to see how they could reduce the powers of the CBN, because the powers that they've got is impeding, or to some extent not making the fiscal policies actually take root properly. And then today you see some other reports which they say no, somebody somewhere doctored part of what was said, and that's not the actual scenario. This seeming policy disharmony between monetary and fiscal policy, you think is getting deeper, the divide, or somebody somewhere is just fanning the embers of war?
Well, strictly speaking, there should be no divide as such. You know, and it worries, you know, me a bit, you know, and it should worry all of us, that the monetary authorities see themselves as having a set of missions that are necessarily, you know, opposed in a binary way to the mission of the fiscal authorities. And that's what I say. Both of them are arguing over, if you ask me, 30% of the fundamental issues of the Nigerian economy.
30%.
Just 30%. Because, look, the fundamental issues of the Nigerian economy, not now, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, since maybe after the disruption of 1966 and since after the Civil War, the fundamental challenges, what we have not been able to overcome is the challenge of, one, achieving growth, inclusive growth, okay? Achieving long-term growth, okay, like China did, okay, growing for about 35 years at double-digit figures and things. Look, everybody is saying now China is in trouble, the economy, but they're still growing at 6%.
But how do you achieve that growth?
Yeah, that's where I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm saying achieve long-term growth, but you're doing that where you're transitioning the economy. Now, that is the key word. Transitioning the economy away from a third world status, from the economy of coping with poverty, managing poverty, not being able to build a middle class population in a steady way, an ongoing way, incremental way, forever and ever. Do you understand? Until you can get about 65–70% of society in the middle consuming class. Okay.
How did they do that? Because
no, they've not done it. Oh, you mean China?
Know, yes, because we know that China, as you've mentioned,
yeah,
is an economy that grew itself up on interest rates that was not more than 1%. Now you're having interest rates in a country like ours, and the interest rate is humongous.
Yes.
How do you grow an economy at those interest rates levels? It's practically impossible.
Yeah, you're right.
How do we get out of that will be the starting point.
You see, the problem is with monetarism itself. Okay? Look, it's a fairly recent phenomenon in economic development. Okay? Nobody was talking monetarism in any big way in the US, in England, in Western economies until the last 45–50 years. It's something that came with the neoliberal revolution, Mrs. Thatcher, Reagan, and all these things, and the Chicago School of Economics, all these Western economics who started prioritizing the use of monetary tools, okay, as the primary way of, if you like, guiding and managing the economy. Before this, you've always managed the economy on the fiscal side, on the production side, industrial production. And that fundamental is still there. You cannot transit away from a mass poverty, pyramidal economy, pyramidal structured economy, and transit your way out of that by simply manipulating supply of money, interest, drawing in portfolio investment. For instance, look, we are having difficulty drawing in FDI, which is what you can really use in the process of transiting your economy away from mass poverty economy.
You think we're manipulating it?
Well, we always do. I mean, not just here, everywhere. And I'm not being personal. Everywhere. I personally have a problem with the entire monetary philosophy and things. I don't want to give a lot of my personal opinion here. But we need to be careful to be sure that both the monetary mechanism and the fiscal mechanism are blended into one to pursue the higher goal. Look, do you think it's for nothing that when Japan was at this stage, or let's say, well, they were already even higher than this, in the 40s, in the 50s, because of raiding Korea and all this, colonizing them and everything, and using them to draw agricultural resources. Oh. But when they were doing this, they had something called MITI, Ministry for International Trade and Investment. They had JETRO, okay? And these were focused, in those bodies, the monetary and the fiscal authorities and mechanisms came together with more experts drawn from all the other, including outsiders. In the case of Singapore had a similar body, EDB, the Economic Development Board. They even had a prominent British there who helped them. We need a similar body in Nigeria. We need a body where all those who are concerned about our transition away from being a third world economy into at least a second world economy, a semi-industrial economy. Okay? How do we travel that journey? What are the priorities? Because look, if you want to do this monetary policy, you want to draw in portfolio investment, and you want to control inflation. And I think, look at a part of their argument. The man in the central bank says there will be inflation in the economy if you have loose money. Tight money is when interest rates are through the roof like now. But the woman in finance says you will be making growth difficult, okay, if you don't have some measure of loose money, at least over a period, so that people can have more access to funds from the bank, okay? People can purchase more, you can increase purchasing power.
The banks are not loaning.
What?
The banks are hardly loaning today. I mean, because of the recession, some banks have pulled away from loaning, and that is also affecting, as a matter of fact, that may put us at the risk of further going into
well, the banks are not loaning because people, you see, when you say the banks are not loaning, it means the banks, people want to take loans and the banks are not. People don't want to take loans at this kind of interest. So that is the thing. That statement, the banks are not loaning money, is really better put, say, people are not going to banks to go and take money at 14% in a recessionary economy where you don't have growth in purchasing power, you don't have an enlargement. Look at this year. We are going to be growing, if you go by IMF, and you can trust those figures. I don't want to compare them to any, but you can trust those figures reasonably, okay? We're going to be growing barely 1% plus